Okay, then in that case, we can start the class. We are good to start the class. See here, as I mentioned, testing is one of the last phase what we generally having in any application development generally. So basically, testing is a kind of process where we are validating or verifying the all the requirements are completed or all the requirements as expected working or not. That is simply we call testing. And in this testing we have different scope of work. We will see one by one. Okay, so first thing, whatever the development we completed or whatever the project we developed, so as for the requirements or as for the initial commitments, is it developed or not? So that is what we call testing. So in this testing we generally have two types of testings in generally. So one is functional testing and another one is non-functional testing. Okay, so functional test, non-functional testing, yeah. So functional testing means the majorly it will talks about the business requirements, like actual the requirements given by the client, are it met or not, like are they completed or not. So that is what we covered in the functional testing. Means here we will do like verification of login, registration, or navigations. When you click on the link, it is navigating to the correct page or not, or the validations is working or not. So that all kind of testing will comes under the functional testing. But whereas non-functional testing is purely talks about the quality metrics basically. So like example, speed, or I can say that load testing, or security. These are all like security, speed test, load testing, and performance testing, and what we can say the compatibility testing. These are all kind of non-functional requirements, like which is mainly quality metrics. That all talks about the non-functional testing. So functional testing, we will do the testing with respect to like functionality. Example, I will take login only. So if I'm giving valid user ID, valid password, it will redirect to the home page. If I'm giving wrong credentials, it has to show the error message. But how much time it is taking to navigate to the home page? Or if I'm giving wrong credentials also, well, whether it is redirecting to the home page. So that is we call non-functional. So non-functional means it talks about the how much time it is taking, and like how speed it is working. So such kind of parameters we are working on non-functional. So functional means majorly it talks about the actual requirements which are expecting by the client. Okay, so that is the two types of testings generally we will perform in any part of testing. And basically testing consists, and a testing is a process of we call simply it's a validation and verification. So it's the combination of validation and verification only technically called as testing. Verification means it's a static process, like the documents what we creating, or the content or the process what we are following, is it right or not. So that is basically called as verification. So mostly in this we will verify that are the process or the methodology what we are following is right to achieve the goals or not, are the like what we can say that the documentation what we are creating or preparing, is it correctly preparing or not. So such kind of verification we'll do in the initial stage. And after the project development completion, or once the application is ready to deliver to the customer, so where we will do the actual testing called validation. So where we will take some sample inputs and we will verify that whether it's working fine or not. So that is we call validation. So validation means execution of your actual functionality. Verification means just a document checking. And the major objective of any particular testing is, one is to check the completeness. That means whether all the requirements are completed as expected or not. And the second one, correctness. So all the requirements working as expected or not. And the next one, as I mentioned already, quality. So what is the quality of the application? So that three parameters basically will keep on the mind and will perform the testing of the application. So this is a brief first part. So testing is a process of checking or validating or verifying the functionality as expected is developed or not. So or else I can say that the developed application is working as expected or not. That is we call testing. In this testing, basically we have two types: functional testing and non-functional testing. Functional testing means the business requirements are the actual requirements given by the client is or was developed by developer or not. So whatever client expecting, is it coming in the output or not? So that is what we call functional testing. How good it is working or how speed it is working, that is we call non-functional testing. So non-functional is our out of box, like our own interest of testing. So it may consist, like as I mentioned, how it is working, and is it supporting all the browsers what we have in the market. So such kind of parameters will check in the non-functional. And generally testing consists two phases: validation and verification. So here verification means initial process checking, like whatever the methodology we are following, or whatever the process we are following, or what are the documents we are preparing while we are developing the application. It's not after, while we are developing. So that process we call verification. And once the development is completed, once the application is ready to use, so before that we will verify that or validate that is that all functionality is working as expected or not. So that is we call validation. The combination of validation and verification only technically called as testing. And finally, the major objectives of testing in any company is completeness, correctness, and quality. So is that all the requirements are finished or not? If finished, then all the requirements are working as expected or not? So third, if working, then how good they are working or how qualitatively they are working. So that is what we call quality. So these three parameters we always consider as a test completion or test closure generally. So as of now, any doubts for anyone? So as of now, any doubts? Any doubts as of now? Okay, good. Now we will cover the types of testings, or we can say that levels of testing. So generally we have different levels of testing. The first one is unit testing. So first, when a developer starts working on the coding, so he will start checking the individual functions are working or not, even ourselves also. When we are writing any program, we will test ourselves the program is executing as expected or not, right? So that is only called as unit testing. So generally unit testing means individually each functionality or each functional method is working as expected or not. So that is unit testing. When we go for individually, it may work, but when we are combining the multiple functions as a single software or single component, so there is no guarantee that always it should work. So that is what we call integration testing. So where we will perform after integrating the individual components into single software, single application. So we will perform the integration testing. So integration testing will talks about the component level, and after integrating the individual units, whether the particular functionality is working or any disturbance is there. So that verification we will do in the integration. And after integration testing completed, we'll get a final output or final system. So that is what we call system testing. So as an end-to-end, like once the system is ready to deliver to the customer, we need to perform the end-to-end testing over the respective application. So that is what technically called as system testing. So system testing means it is a end-to-end testing, a complete testing of the application. So how it is working or how it is like behaving as expected or not, that is we will do in the system. So once the system testing completed, we will deliver the application to the customer, obviously. So customer also will perform the basic testing before acceptance. So that is we call acceptance testing. Means he will do the final testing to accept the application. So that is we call acceptance testing. So likewise, we have 4 levels of testing in any industry. So unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and acceptance testing. So unit testing means individual functions are working or not. Integration means combining the components. System means whole application, and acceptance means before customer. I will tell you a simple example. So we can take the calculator only. Okay. So calci. So if you are see any calci, it is not, it is having set of functions, like example add, subtract, multiply. So likewise, we have set of functions in the any calculator. So first level of testing, this each function is working individually as expected or not. So that is what we call unit testing. Okay. So when we are combining this component, when we are executing individually these all functions, we will perform unit testing. But when we combine all these two as a one platform or one screen, so then it is working or not. So that is we call integration testing, means all together as a single component. And the third, when your calci ready with hardware, like you are integrated your all the functionality in the hardware and your buttons ready, your display ready, now you need to perform system testing. That means end to end all the functionalities with respect to buttons and display is working or not, we need to validate. So that is we call system testing. Once system testing is completed, it is ready for sold. Like example, if you want to purchase a calculator, so you visit a stationery shop, you ask the one calculator. Now the guy will show you the calci. So you will do a basic testing, like you will see some basic addition and some basic multiplication, and after that only you will purchase the calci, because without that you can't take it. So that is what we call acceptance testing, means as an end user, as a customer, before purchasing or before accept the particular product, we will do also a basic testing, that is technically called as acceptance testing. So likewise, we will perform at different levels of testing to make sure that the application is qualitatively delivered to the customer, so that the quality will be good, and ultimately you know that if the quality is good, the brand value will be increased for the respective product. So that is how market is working. So that's why in each industry, it may be mechanical or it may be IT industry, it may be manufacturing, everywhere QC will be there, quality check or quality analyst. So without that, they are not at all deliver the product to the outside of the world. In the similar way, in our academic project also, whatever the project we may develop or whatever the application we may develop, we need to do the testing thoroughly to deliver the project to the what you call to demo. I mean that not the client, but at least to showcase in front of your college people. So before to showcase or demo the project to the college, you need to thoroughly test it. So I observed in the student many years back onwards. Like, see, this is only the lack of the students. So students, once they purchase the project, or even though they develop the project, they're not doing the testing very properly. So that is the reason most of the students are getting issues while they're executing the application in front of the college people. So they may not get clarity how to resolve the issues, or they may not get any kind of clarification. So that's why I am giving a suggestion to you initially only. See, always when you're developing application or you're doing programming also, be good in testing always. So that you may cover max to max errors and max to max bugs at your point only, so that you may not face any issues at the time of demoing the software. Okay, so testing is very helpful to avoid the such kind of issues. Okay, so if you identified any issues in the testing, so that is we call generally technically we call the word called errors or bugs basically, so are defects. So this is generally will be identified at the time of testing. So whenever you identified any issue in the testing, we call it as a bug or defect. So that we need to track and we need to fix it, so that that issue may not be replicated, or again it will be not coming. So like that, before demo the application, whatever you develop or whatever you purchase from anywhere, you need to thoroughly test it, or thoroughly analyze and use the application, all the options what we have. So at the time of demonstration, it will be easy for you people to demonstrate the application without having any problems. So that is the way testing is very plays crucial role in our application development. So as of now, any doubts? As of now, any doubts, please ask me. Otherwise, I will go to the next topic, next point I need to say. Any doubt as of now? Any doubt? Okay, done. So this is about levels of testing and bugs identification fixing. Now the next thing is we need to understand is like what will be the process of testing in general. It means, so first definitely as we know, requirements followed by analysis. So this is no doubt at all, everywhere it will be involved. It is there because without understanding the requirement or without knowing what is going to be developing, you cannot test it. So what is expectation, if you know, then only you can able to test the particular functionality. So that is very starting step we have to perform. So we need to try to understand all the requirements thoroughly, so that only we can test it very efficiently to overcome all the issues. So second thing is we have to plan it. So how many days we required, or how many resources we required, what type of testing we should implement, or when to stop the testing, or what kind of testing methodologies will implement, or is there any risk involving in the this testing. So that sort of all things will plan or will decide in the test plan. Okay, so test plan is a process of planning how to do the testing for your application. So మీ application ఎలా టెస్ట్ చేయాలి అని ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయడమే టెస్ట్ ప్లానింగ్. And after test plan you will start to design the test cases. So it is also one of the part of your final report also for your project. Okay, so now after planning we should write some sort of test cases for our application, like for example how we will test it, like what to test. So that all steps we should write as part of the test cases. So once the test case is completed, we will build our test environment, like where to test or how to test. So that particular part we will complete now. So test environment setup, I can say that. So I can say simple example. If you want to test the mobile application, we require mobile device. If you want to test the web application, we require some browser. So like that, what environment we require to test that particular application, you need to set up that particular environment in your mission so that you can test it. So once it is done, you need to wait for the application to deliver. So once the application came to you for testing, now you can start execution. So you can observe the issues, whatever you have identified in the application, and you can raise the issues. So that is just before I told you, raise the bugs. So once you start the execution, you may find some deviations. So what is expected and what is actual, if both are not matching, so then you can raise a bug as a error. So that will be fixed by developers. And again, so that means in our case we should identify the issues, again we need to fix it, and we need to test it again. So until all the issues cleared, or until all the functionalities are working as expected, you need to keep on perform the same testing again and again. Once it is done, everything is done, then we have to sign off the testing. So that means we are ready to deliver the project to the customer. In your case, you can ready to demo your project to the your college people. So like that, we will do the testing for our application. So testing is also very important aspect, Nana, because without proper testing of your application or your what you call system, we cannot give the assurance, or we cannot give the 100% guarantee that it will work for every time. So that means you need to test the application with all possible scenarios, with all possible inputs. Like if I'm entering something by 0, what will happen? If I'm entering 1 plus 1, what will happen? If I'm entering 2 minus 1, what will happen? So likewise, all the scenarios you should cover to verify the functionality working as expected or not. So likewise, we will do the testing of any application. So it is very important aspect, or very important component to perform a testing at any place. So generally, testing will help you to understand the components very clearly and very easily. So is there any doubts up to here? Is there any doubts? Any doubts as of now? Yeah, final. So in this testing, again we have two types. So one is manual testing, another one is automation testing. So manual testing means we ourselves will perform one by one operation by executing the components. That is we call manual testing. But whereas automation testing means you need to write again some programming scripting so to verify that functionality is working as expected or not. But as student level, we don't require this thing. So manual testing is enough. So this is what we are going to be covering as part of our projects. Like example, manual testing is nothing but very simple, Nana. If I can say that, see here. Yeah, if you observe here, so for example, there is an application I'm telling like example, yeah, our website only if you consider, okay. So now once you open our website, so now if you someone told you to verify this particular website is working or not, so how to work, sir? Then you have to, so first all the links are working or not. So click on that. Each link is navigating or not. You have to verify. And so likewise, all the links, whatever the links here we have. So is that links all are working or not like this. So everything, whatever the links we have is working or not. And if any forms are there, so now is that forms are working? Is that form is submitting in the what we can say that database or not? And similarly, is the data what we are showing here, is the data is correct data or is any mistakes are there? So likewise, you need to perform each and every operational and as well as GUI testing also. So in your case also, once you develop any application, you need to verify all the cases is covering or not. Like for example, if you created a registration login, now registration is working. Is it duplicate email is accepting or not, or is it duplicate mobile is accepting or not? Are such kind of all the things you have to take care while you're performing the testing. So testing is not a big deal, but only the big problem is coverage, like how extent you are doing the testing or how many cases you are covering. So that is important. So that only you can find even minute bugs. So to overcome that, we will get the more quality. So how good you are doing the testing, such kind of quality product we will deliver to the customer. So that is the way testing is very important for our career in real time, and you need to work on more and more on testing. That's why. And even if you observe recent days, there is a huge demand in the market regarding the testing jobs also. So there is a good openings on the testing also. But as I mentioned already, if you have a good knowledge, so subject to condition. But as we know, comparatively testing, obviously scope is development is more, but still testing also there is a separate jobs will be there in the market currently. Okay. So this is all about testing partner. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. So this is a simple and straightforward topic, but which is repeatedly used in the market, and even as part of our project development also, we should test our application as per requirements. And it is also one of the section of your final report. What are the test cases you covered as part of testing, and how many passed and how many failed? If failed, what are the bugs you raised, and how many are fixed? So that data you should give as part of your documentation basically. Okay, if you do the real-time project, this all will be considered. Yes, no, there is a manual testing scope is there, but comparatively automation will be more. So because as we know, automation is reusable component, so that's why comparatively manual testing, automation is good scope in the market. For automation testing, you require either core Python or core Java. Any one is required. Core Python or core Java. So other things not required. Like example, so SQL anyway database is required. Like as I mentioned, advanced Java, the Django, that all not required. But any one language is enough for automation testing. So that is mostly used tool is Selenium market. Yeah, any other doubts if you have, you can ask me, Nana. So this is all about testing. And as I mentioned, the project internship project development class will start from second onwards, like the Monday onwards. So where we will spend a good time, and where we can do the practicals, more and more practicals where we can spend. And if possible, you can install the softwares also. I will show you the mostly first day how to install the softwares. But if you are not really good at doing at your own level, you can come to the office. We'll help you to install the softwares, and you can leave and you can do practice from online classes. Or if you are able to install it from through like online class, yes, it is good also. You can do that. But you at least by first 1 or 2 classes only you should install that, so that you can parallelly do the practice over the project work. So this is all about your testing and the future plan, and we'll meet on Monday again. And yes, as I mentioned already, so once again, wish you happy New Year advance. Like enjoy the New Year celebrations and take care. So anything else you can ping me, or else I will quit the class.